Charlie Astor out there in the support walking in the sports club. That's nice.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Brad Group Stadium here on Orient Live. The sun is shining, there's a massive boost in atmosphere around the place, and the O's are on the hunt for a much needed 3 points. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by two former Orient players in the shape of Glenn Wilkie and Jabbo Abire, and the O's are facing Carlisle United FC this afternoon, who also have a new manager in Paul Simpson, and it's the start of a new era as the O's have their interim manager Matt Harrold looking to pick up the first 3 points of the calendar year. And Glenn, it's been all change in E10 this week, and it felt like it was needed.
100% needed. You don't sack your manager when it's not needed, do you? So massive change. We've seen a start. Well, we've seen the starting lineup today. Could be a few faces who have come into the squad who wasn't getting a chance a couple of games ago, and there's a real buzz around the squad. Watching them warm up, they've got smiles on their faces, they look energised, they look like they're really up for this, so that's a real positive thing.
Well, there is certainly lots to discuss today, and Kent Teague will join us very shortly, so if you've got any questions for him, tweet them in using the hashtag OrientLive, and we'll put them to him shortly when we're with him. But Jabbo, on the subject of that new manager bounce, a lot is spoken about in football, and what can it do to a squad, you know, with that little uplift in mood around the camp?
Well, it can definitely, you know, like sometimes when you're in the situation that, you know, not winning many games in a run, you know, sometimes when the manager unfortunately gets sacked, you know, it lifts the shackles. You know, if players suddenly get a boost of energy, you just feel, all right, I can start again. I've got that freshness. I've got no pressure of the manager thinking what I did last game, and they just go out there with a new boost of energy. So I think the shackles will be off today, and hopefully you see a good bit of energy around the pitch today. It definitely lifts the mood for sure. And
hopefully some goals as well then. And of course, don't forget, if you're watching along on our live YouTube stream, if you're an international fan, you can head over to the website now to pick up your match pass to watch along with Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock, or of course your audio pass if you're a UK fan. But now let's take a look at the starting 11 the interim manager Matty Harrold has gone for his first game in charge. So in goal for the O's, number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. Returning to the side, number 3, Connor Wood. 9, Harry Smith. 11, Theo Archibald. 14, Otis Khan. 16, Aaron Drinan. 18, Darren Pratley. 19, Omar Beckles. 26, Hex Kiprianou. 34, Ethan Coleman. And 35, George Ray. And on the bench for the O's this afternoon, Reece Byrne, Adam Thompson, Frank Nublake, Ruel Satiriou, Matt Young, Shad Oji, and Jordan Brown. So Glenn, what do you make of Matt's first team selection today? Yeah,
it looks very good on paper. It looks like we're going to play with a 4-3-3. Khan right back, Ray and Beckles in the centre, and Wood coming back to the side at left back, which is a natural left back. We've not seen that for a while in a flat back four, and Hector Coleman, Pratley in the middle. There's a bit of steel in there and a bit of creativity, and then the three danger men from the beginning of the season, Drinan, Smith and Archibald up front. So it looks very, very good on paper. Like we said a minute ago, they look positive, they look energised, they look like they've got a point to prove. I like the starting lineup, I really do, and I just hope we get a really good start in this game.
And let's look at that front three, Jabbo, because as Glenn just mentioned, you've got Harry Smith, Aaron Drinan and Theo Archibald, three players who have struggled to form of late, but we know what they're capable of. And how might this new, obviously Matty Harrold, being a striker himself, do you expect to maybe see some more attacking freedom this afternoon?
I think so, definitely. I mean, and there's nothing better sometimes when the gaffer that comes in, you know, is, especially when you're struggling in front of goal, was a former striker. You know, they've been there themselves at one point in their career. So I'm sure there would have been some sessions on in the week, you know, some shooting sessions and some words of encouragement, and saying like, go back, you scored goals, you were on fire at the start of the season, you know, it's still in you. I'm gonna allow you, the shackles are off, go and show everyone what you're about. And I think during the week, I think Matt Howard will be just giving them words of encouragement throughout, and I think we'll see a different front three today.
And Matty Harrold's going to need to rely on some characters to step up in this dressing room as well. Obviously, it is tough times. We are still in a bad run of form. He's going to need his character to step up. Darren Pratley wearing the armband this afternoon again, and he gave everything out on the pitch on Tuesday night. Matty's going to be looking to him to provide some much needed experience.
100%. You want your leader on the pitch, your captain, to lead by example, to help the more inexperienced players along in the game. but more than anything, have that bit of bite about him and set the tone for the game. You know, you want him to be crunching into tackles fairly. Don't get any silly bookings or sendings off. But you want him to lead by example, and he'll set the tone for the team. You know, and he'll just help them younger players along. But last couple of games he's done very, very well since he's had his bit of a layoff out the side and he's come back in. He's had a point to prove, and I think he's done really well.
Well, we're going to be hearing from Darren Pratley very shortly, but of course don't forget Kent Teague will be joining us straight after, so if you do have any questions, tweet them into us using the hashtag #OrientLive. But now, let's hear what skipper Darren Pratley has to say.
Football sometimes has it. Our opponents on Saturday also have a change of manager, so it's going to be quite a game on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, and sometimes that can turn into a cagey game, so from our point of view, from the people coming down to the stadium, I'm sure they'll understand the circumstances that both teams are in. Both near the bottom of the table, both don't want to be there. Both got new managers, so normally you get that new manager buzz, and sometimes it can be two teams cancelling each other out who are a bit nervous and don't want to lose the game. So it's important that we personally stick together on the pitch, no matter what goes on. And the help of the fans, which have been brilliant all season, if they can stick with us as well and try and push us over the line, that would be great.
Well, guess what would your message be to the fans ahead of Saturday? Obviously, it has been a very poor run. I think last 10 games, just 2 draws and the rest losses. So frustration's been heard on their point of view. So from yourself and the players, what's your message to the fans?
Yeah, and we understand that. Like I've said in interviews before, we understand their frustration. I can guarantee you there's not one fan out there that would be more disappointed and more upset than the players or myself. I take my job home, so when we lose or play bad, that sticks with me all week. I know it sticks with the fans as well, but I take it very personally. So it's not that we're not trying. I think, like you said, in the game on Tuesday, we was trying, we couldn't score a goal, and we ended up losing the game. For the fans, I'd say stick with us, which they have. Obviously, they can voice their disappointment when things are not going well, but now the club situation is at the moment, we all need to galvanise and be together and be a big strong unit and get out of this mess, because we're in a mess at the moment. All it takes is a goal and a win to change it, and if we can do that with their support, it can only be good for everyone.
Just finally, I know it's in football you look at one game at a time, but if you do look at the next 3 fixtures, Colchester after the Carlisle game and then Stevenage this weekend, all 3 below us in the table, and a real chance. You're saying about a fresh slate. Well, what a chance is that? Yeah,
but in this league it means nothing. I know they're all 3 teams below us, but it's a fresh slate, fresh start for everyone. I know it's a cliche, we have to take one each game as it comes, but we actually do. And especially in this league as well, anyone can beat anyone. You see some results and you say, how have they beat them? The run we're on at the moment, we can't look past Carlisle at the moment, so it's important that we get a positive result. We get that connection back with the fans, we get some positivity around the stadium, and get behind Matt and get behind the team, because I know he's someone that's been here a long time, he loves the club, he's starting his career as a coach, as a manager, and it's important that he gets that support and he gets the work rate and effort from the boys.
A big performance expected from Darren Pratley this afternoon. I'm sure he's going to provide that, and we're now delighted to be joined by Orient's Vice Chairman Kent Teague. And now, Ken, we're absolutely delighted to have you with us this afternoon, and obviously
glad to be here.
Oh, absolutely, and circumstances obviously mean that there's been a lot going on in E10 recently, and I'm sure you're the first person to admit that things haven't been fantastic recently, and I'm sure you're hoping today will be a start of something slightly different.
No, let's be honest, they've been terrible, and we have to do better. We have to figure out what is going to make it so that we deserve to win a game. We haven't deserved to win a game, but we've got to figure out a way to deserve to win a game. We've got to play better. We understand the most important thing in football is wins, 3 points. We've got to get back on that ride, that train. Whatever we were on the first part of the season, we've got to get back there as quickly as possible.
And obviously at the start of the season there was so much promise, there was so much expectation, and with the name of the previous manager, fans were saying playoffs minimum. So to see us much closer to the relegation zone now, why do you think that is? What's gone on?
Well, we've had a lot of things that have gone against us. Maybe we've had a little bit of luck. Maybe we've had some bad injuries. Maybe we have a lot of excuses. Maybe we have a lot of reasons. None of that really matters, to be honest. What really matters is the results. And so for us, we can talk about and think about and, try to decide all those things, but what we've got to do is we've got to focus this group of people on their primary objective, which is to win football matches and to play really well to the best of their ability. We have the talent in this side. We do not have a side that should be suspect about going down. We have the talent. They have to play better. We have to make sure they play better.
Ken, can I ask,
Sure.
obviously after Tuesday night, what happened with the previous manager, did yourself and Nigel get a chance to sit down in a meeting with the players and express your feelings or what's expected? Or
we don't really get to talk directly. We try not to talk directly to the players about situations like that. I did get the chance. It's an advantage that I have. I did get to go to the training ground on Friday, so I did get to express to the players some of my thoughts and some of the things I was thinking and what my desires are for them and how I want them to be successful. But we didn't have a player meeting or anything like that, on Tuesday night. But we have had the chance to get messages to the players and to have conversations with them.
And looking at almost the timing of your decision then, Ken, because obviously, as you've said, performances have been substandard for a long time. No win this calendar year. So what was the thinking behind the decision to make that call when you did?
Well, the thinking behind the decision is that we're willing to give people a number of chances to perform at the level that they have in the past. And so it's not just one loss or two losses. It's not just a game at home without a goal or two or three. You have to sort of stack a number of, I wouldn't call them failures, but certainly losses up. And then we have to make a change because you've got to change this trajectory. So that's the change we had to make.
And you've obviously been doing your rounds as you always do when you're here at a home game.
I do.
You've been seeing the fans. You were at the training ground yesterday, and have you noticed a good mood, a good lift around the place? And
well, I have a very big challenge. When I left here, we had just played Swindon. So I've got a very different perspective of what the mood was when I left. So I haven't been here in a couple of months. The mood is definitely different than it was then. Hopefully it's been lifted. Hopefully it'll be lifted enough today. But the best thing that will happen to us is for us to score goals and to win a match, and that will lift the mood more than anything else.
And obviously, Matty Harold is the man that the board have chosen to be the interim man to try and achieve that. What are you expecting from Matty in this period?
Well, with Matt, we know that we bring an offensive-minded player, coach, manager into that position, and that's what we want. We want a more offensive, more aggressive type manager. Brian is doing, happened to be at the training ground, so I saw Matt Harold. I saw him, coaching them up on the offensive side, and Brian coaching them up on the defensive side. So it both matters, but we have to be aggressive when we have the ball, and we've got to play to score and play to win.
Go on, Glenn.
No, I was going to say it's really interesting that you say that we've split the group. We've got the offensive and the defence.
Right.
Who's coaching the midfielders?
You are.
Right, okay.
I'm surprised you didn't know.
All right, okay.
Leading on to a question then from Twitter we've had from @LordGriff98.
Sure.
And he said, Kent, how quickly do you anticipate a new permanent manager being appointed? Because obviously we've had recent years of appointments and interims and everything.
Oh my gosh, that question is so hard to answer. Let me put it to you this way. The first two outbound requests for a new manager to have a conversation with us was just a little after 10 o'clock on Tuesday night. So the process is that we're going after people and we're receiving CVs. As far as when we will believe that we have found the best person to lead Leyton Orient Football Club forward, I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but I hope it happens sooner than later, and I hope it lasts longer than normal. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, hopefully you're right on that one there, Ken. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you joining us here. I think for the first time on Orient Love, so thank you for joining us. But now it's time to take a listen to the man who is in the hot seat this afternoon, the interim manager, Matt Harold.
Cool, good chat. Yeah. Matt, obviously, in your time here, you've had interviews as a player, a coach, and it's now interim manager. Kind of sum up your feelings as you go into this role.
Yeah, it's crazy, to be honest. I mean, when I joined the club 4 years ago on deadline day, I never expected to be a coach here, let alone one day be the interim manager. So, no, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy 24 hours. I think I've aged already in that time. But no, I mean, I've always said it since I've been here. Obviously, I actually was born in Leyton and stuff like that. But then while I've been here, we've been through a hell of a lot. Some unbelievable highs and obviously some crushing lows. And it's been great at times and tough at times. And I suppose the time recently, it hasn't gone great as well as we like, not as we all expected, to be honest. So I'm really surprised to be here in this position. But while I'm going to give it everything, along with the staff, and try and enjoy it.
It's kind of how football goes sometimes, but there's obviously going to be another man in the Carlisle dugout, so it's going to be quite an exciting game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because I know Keith. Unfortunately, he lost his job. He's one of my A-licensed tutors who I was actually on a call with yesterday. So it was crazy how it worked out. But yeah, I mean, crazy how it works out. I mean, I think I found out about midday yesterday. So it adds something to the game because obviously it's very hard to prepare and plan exactly what they're going to do. So it's obviously more about us. But yeah, I'm hoping for a good game, a good atmosphere, and hopefully we leave with the points.
It's obviously quite a short period of time for you to maybe put a massive stamp on the team, but what do you want to see from your team on Saturday?
Yeah, it's short and it's hard to get in everything you want. So a couple of structural things, but mainly it's a spirit, a togetherness, and try and just connect what's going on the pitch with who's watching and get that kind of good feeling back in there. And that's what I've just tried to get through to the boys today, you know. And if we do that, I think we've got good players and I think we can do well.
Hopefully everyone Ginger Pele can pick up a much needed 3 points this afternoon, but now it's time to take a look at another team who have a new manager in for the first time this weekend, Carlisle, as Paul Simpson leads Carlisle out for the first time. And let's take a look at the starting 11 that he's opted for this afternoon. So in goal for Carlisle, number 33 Mark Howard, number 3 Jack Armour, 6 Darnell Simew, number 7 Joe Riley, number 8 and their captain this afternoon Callum Guy, number 10 Jamie Devitt, number 12 John Mellish, number 16 Morgan Feeney, 17 Jordan Gibson, 13 Amari Patrick and 31 Christian Dennis. And on the bench for Carlisle this afternoon, Gabriel Breeze, Lewis Alessandra, Corey Whelan, Toby Show Silva, Mitch Roberts, Tyrese Omotoye and Owen Windsor. So obviously, Jabbo, another former side of yours. Are there any familiar faces in there that you would be worried about today? Obviously, Carlisle also not in the best of form, but some good players in there still.
Yeah, some good players there. Jamie Devitt's just returned in the January window. He can be a bit of a talisman in his day and drop into pockets well and create a bit of space. John Mellish last season was kind of the go-to man. Scored a lot of goals. Not so much this season. He's been doing too well, but you know he's always a threat. Christian Dennis was very good in League Two a couple of seasons ago. Was one of the leading goal scorers. So you know there's a few experienced players in there. Amari Patrick on his day is another handful. So, you know, they're going to be looking to do something today with a new manager. And again, another team that's the shackles are off and they might lay the gauntlet down.
Hopefully not. Looking at that new manager then, Glenn, obviously Paul Simpson most recently won the Under-20 World Cup with England. He's got 2 promotions with Carlisle. It's a very feel-good appointment for Carlisle. Do you worry about that coming into today's game?
Yeah, I do. He's a good coach. He's a very good coach, and like you say, he was the last England manager to win the World Cup, so that tells you everything.
Until
he's also a coaching accessory, trains coaches up, upcoming coaches. I believe he's coached Matt Harrold as well, so they know each other. So yeah, it's a big appointment for them to get him back. He doesn't want to see his former club sort of languishing near the bottom of the League Two. So he's come in, he'll have his ideas. Don't ask me how they're going to set up. Who knows? It's a fresh eyes on this team for them. All we do know is what their record last 6 games is the same as us. Lost 5, drawn 1. They've scored a couple more goals than us, although we've not really scored that much. So firepower, both ends, both clubs, both managers will be looking to score plenty of goals. And me and Jabo was talking before, we think there's going to be plenty of goals today. We're not sure which way though.
Well, I was going to ask Jabo, because how do you feel this game will pan out? Obviously both teams, I think it's fair to say, desperate for the points, both near the foot of the table, and both teams will be desperate for the 3 points. Do you think it will be a gung-ho kind of go for the goals, or do you think it might be a more cagey affair?
I honestly think it'll probably be shackles are off, weapons free. I think they're going to go for it. I think, you know, Paul Simpson's going to go in there with words of encouragement. Matt Harrell's going to do the same. You know, they're both lined up with sort of good attacking threats and good attacking options. I think, you know, air of caution initially, but I think weapons free and it'd be an interesting game.
And how important is it, Glenn, that the O's do attack this game? We don't need to say it again. We haven't won this year. Everyone would love a win. How important is it that these players attack this Carlisle side? They're around us in the table. It's on paper shouldn't be a tough opposition. So how important is it that we go for that jugular?
Yeah, I think we know, supporters know, the players know, everyone knows we've not been scoring goals. We haven't. It's a fact. So to win games, you need to score goals. So as Mr. Teague said a minute ago, he's watched Matty Harold this week in training, coaching the offensive players, working on them, getting the feel-good factor back, giving them a bit of love, telling them how great they are, maybe showing them clips of when they were scoring at the beginning of the season, just giving them a lift. And like Jabbo said, the shackles are off. Some of these players are out of contract. Some of them are not, but there could be a potential manager sitting up in the stand watching them who may be coming in, so they're going to want to impress. Personal pride comes into it, Forget what's happened with the previous manager. Some of them are getting a start back in the starting lineup again. So they've all got a point to prove. They really have. And we know they are good players. They can play at this level. We know they can score at this level because they did at the beginning of the season. They've just got to go out to there today and prove it.
Well, let's remind ourselves of the lineup that Matty Harold is going for in his first game as interim manager. So for the O's in goal this afternoon, number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. Number 3, Connor Wood. Number 9, Harry Smith. Number 11, Theo Archibald. Number 14, Otis Khan. 16, Aaron Drynan. Jabbo Bears having his name sung by the Carlisle travelling fans here. Number 18 and skipper, Darren Pratley. Number 19, Omar Beckles. Number 26, Hector Cipriano. Number 34, Ethan Coleman. And number 35, George Ray. And on the bench for the O's, Reece Byrne, Adam Thompson, Frank Nublet, Ruel Sotiriou, Matt Young, Shadoji and Jordan Brown. And of course, don't forget, if you're watching along to our live YouTube show, the match is available to stream for international fans. If you head over to the Orient website, you can pick up your match pass, and if you're a UK fan, you can get your audio pass also to listen along with Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock. But now kickoff is just over 5 minutes away. We haven't looked too much at the defence, Glenn, because Connor Wood slots back in. He probably didn't get much of a look in under Kenny, it's fair to say, and clean sheets have dried up of late without any real recognised out-and-out left-back. Do you think that could be quite important for the O's for some more defensive solidity? Yeah, definitely, but I think it just gives us a bit more balance. The way we've been playing and all the changes. Connor Wood was out of the side for whatever reason. Kenny Jackett was the manager who brought him in, so it's a really bizarre one for me to see him out of the side. And when we played 4 centre-halves in the back four, it just for me, that just stunk of sort of desperation not to concede from set pieces, having that additional height in there. So I think with Connor in there as a natural left back, it just gives us more balance, gives us a bit more of an attacking impetus, when we're getting forward. I think it's really key, but it'd be interesting. George Ray's come back into today, or he's in the starting lineup, and Khan at right back is a traditional back four with players playing in their correct positions, which we like, and it's good to see. And picking up on George Ray, he's starting his 3rd game now alongside Omar Beckles, and that is hopefully a centre-back pairing that's developing. There's been a lot of chopping and changing of late as we are on the hunt for a win. How important could that consistency be to maybe finding a bit of form and getting back to winning ways?
I mean, any good defensive unit, you want to know what your partner's doing. You want to know you can rely on him, and you want to know how to cover around and how you each other play. So consistency for a centre-back pairing is a must, and especially if you're not scoring, you want to be able to be strong and resolute at the back. So consistency for them and having the same partners will be something that they need to do. And Glenn, we felt the lift around the place today alone. Players are out on the pitch now. What way do you see this one going? Well, the noise in the stadium is something we've not heard for many, many weeks. Fantastic. The supporters seem happy, seem very happy with what's happened this week. They're expecting a win. I'm expecting a win. Jabbo? I'm expecting goals. well, hopefully it's goals, and hopefully, of course, it is 3 points. But now it's time to pass over to the very capable hands of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
And welcome to the Blair Group Stadium, Brisbane Road, where we're